Via tugboat. Where's the tugboat? There's the tugboat. Via tugboat over to that island there, Kinderdijk, which is where I hear I'll finally see my first Dutch windmill. I'm not entirely sure what this yellow square is, but my guess is that there's a National Geographic cover of this particular view right here. Just a guess. So I rented this mobike for $1 every 20 minutes or so, and even has a coffee holder. And here are the windmills. Pretty awesome. Arty, I'm captain of the windmill. This is the big spindle, which allows them to move and orient the windmill depending on where the wind is. So they'll crank it up and move it to another set of pegs, or they just play pirate ship people all the time. So this room that I'm standing in now is the main room for mill keepers. It's the only heated place in the area because there's the stovepipe, which we saw earlier, and there's the bedroom, really tiny. It's not that big. You know, that's 4 or 5 people in here at once. It was occupied until about 1975. This is kind of the storage pantry main hallway with a giant spindle right here, and all of their cookware and so forth. Up there is the kids' room. It's the unheated area. We'll go up there in a second. And the third floor is where the chimney goes. So right outside the kitchen on the first floor, as we walk up, these are the clogs that they would wear. They're the traditional wooden clogs, and it protected their feet. This spindle in the middle is turning the water wheel that pumps the water just to the left. Those wooden teeth are replaced about once a decade. The wheel itself is replaced about once a century. We're now in the very tight, cramped living quarters of the kids. These are small little bunk beds and a little bathroom area. They do have great views though. Beautiful Dutch countryside in the small wooden room. And over here, the stairs get even smaller as we go up to the next level. And this thing is spinning really freaking fast. I don't think you can really kind of get the feel of it, but it's going. And now we head up to this next set of bedrooms on the very non-ADA compliant steps. Yeah, so this is their other bedroom. It's pretty small in there. Not a lot of room. A couple of chairs for enjoying your afternoon tea. Something that Grandma and Steve would like. Well, Ben, so you thought you had a small bed when you were a kid? Check this out. This is the kids' room with a Dutch shoe thing and not much room. Maybe a couple little toys there. Pretty small, pretty small. So the reason it smells smoky in here is because this is called the smoke room, and they would have the chimneys go up and hang their food and their animals and their fruits and stuff, and it was kind of like their refrigerator, but they smoked it and salted it. The smoke room was then cleared out relatively often, but all the residue is still on the walls. Coming straight down is that kingpin, which is getting driven by the wind and goes all the way down to the kitchen, what we just saw. And now we're going to go up to the very top floor where we see the actual shaft spinning, and some protective guards, and some DJ lights. Look at that. And that's the thatch roof way up there. Pretty astonishing, huh? Transferred through that round gearbox into this giant wheel. Then this wheel turns the paddles, which pump the water uphill. It's starting to slow down, so maybe it's not so windy outside. We'll find out. So the stairs coming down are super narrow. They're only a few inches wide. In fact, my foot barely even fits on them. I'm sure there have been more than a few elderly gentlemen, Asian guys like the guy in front of me who's tumbled down the steps. And I almost did myself. That. Although the first windmill in this area was built in 1500, and then they all started popping up to the point where people were getting sick of windmills in Holland. And you were called a miller if you lived in one. This thing is actually functioning. That's water. It's getting pumped out into this upper dike from over there, which is the lower dike. So each one of these windmills pumps water out. Then that water goes to another pump system over there, which pumps into the river. So these are haystacks. Apparently they liked to hide needles in them. This is it, my Dutch lunch in front of a Dutch windmill while watching ducks. There were about 15,000 of them all around the Netherlands, and now they're one of just 22 different waterworks projects, water systems to help pump out all the water. Kids love, I guess, doing that kind of stuff around here too. Not sure why it stopped, or why it's still windy and it stopped. One of the two. Maybe it's a time to stop pumping water. Best of all, ice cream. Yes. Milled directly by the windmills. Milked from the cows. Frozen by some means. And waffles by some other. So good. But I pretty much can figure out why it's so windy in Holland. These things generate a lot of wind. And Kinderdijk is one of the first areas where they started pumping water out in the 1200s, and then realized that the more water they pumped out, the lower the land sunk. So they had to pump more water out. And it became like this giant mess. And it's actually not seawater, believe it or not. It's two rivers and where they join. To get over here, and this is Kinderdijk right here, these are the two rivers. The Lek and something else, Rhine or something. In order to get here, you have to take basically what's called a water bus, which is that. It's a catamaran ferry, but it doesn't go directly to the island or to the province or whatever the hell it is. You have to take a little tugboat. So I'm on this tugboat that kind of shuttles me over to Kinderdijk, and now I'm heading back. It was awesome. Enjoyable. I'm tired. Been out here all day on the water. I don't know how the Dutch do it.